But for the guys who have titles, for someone like Steph, who this is the only thing missing from his resume, to have that moment, I believe it goes at the top of the list of his greatest moments, and I believe it is the most memorable sequence I've seen in basketball in my 50 years watching the sport. What do you think, Big Perk?
Hey, Greeny, when was the last time I ever told you I was proud of you? Okay, that list was perfection. That looked like one of my lists. I mean, from top to bottom. But when it comes down to Steph, hey, look, he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. And those last two games, especially the one to seal it all against France, listen, that's Steph Curry at his finest. And look, people could argue on another day what position he will go down as. I still have him as the greatest point guard ever, right? Greatest point guard ever. I understand he changed the game and how the game is played with him being the greatest shooter of all time. But the fact that he had LeBron James and Steph Curry wide open on the opposite wing and shot that basketball over two defenders to seal the deal with his classic epic night-night go-to-sleep type thing. Hey, look, I tell you this, Greeny, you're right. That was one of Steph Curry's greatest moments of his NBA career.
Well, let's face it, in the entire history of the sport, he's the only person for whom that was a good shot, right? He's literally the only person that has ever lived for whom that was a good offensive sequence. Anyone else takes that shot, we are basically, we're revoking their citizenship, right, for taking that shot at the end of an Olympic game. For Steph, that's a good look. Because if he is within 50 feet of the basket, he is a threat. And again, D. Wood, I would suggest that the circumstances were that meaningful because the Olympic gold didn't used to matter when it was so easy, when it was so obvious, such a foregone conclusion that we should have it. That is no longer the case. Serbia absolutely could have beaten us. They played us dead even. France absolutely could have beaten us. They had guys who played out of their minds because of the circumstances. That game was not, and anyone who watched it, you don't need me to tell you this, was not a foregone conclusion. The consequences of losing are epic. They are enormous. And Steph Curry refused to let it happen.
Yeah.
D-Wood, your thoughts?
Greeny, I've been a part of two epic Super Bowls, Super Bowl 36 against the greatest show on turf and the St. Louis Rams at the time, and Super Bowl 38 with the Carolina Panthers. Both came down to, game-winning field goals. Greeny, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like that. Just sitting there watching Steph cook the way he was cooking the last, 2 or 3 minutes of that game.
Yeah.
It was the most epic sports event that maybe I've ever witnessed. Literally. I mean, I'm sitting here watching LeBron James and Kevin Durant defer, like, nah, bro, why are you passing me the ball? You take the ball because you are on such a heater right now, it doesn't even make any sense for me to even touch the ball. To watch Chef Curry, he's Chef Curry, be in his bag at that moment in the Olympics on another country's home court. And to watch him pull that off, I don't know, I'm not even talking about basketball. I'm talking in sports. I don't know if there's anything more epic than what we watched with Steph Curry.
You have to contemplate the stage. You have to contemplate the entire planet watching. You have to contemplate the entire planet being invested in what was happening here. This wasn't for an NCAA championship, which happens every year. It wasn't for an NBA championship, which happens every year. And I get it. It is these guys' lives. I'm not diminishing the significance of any of that. But this is every 4 years, and this is America clinging to our status, Kendrick, Big Perk, clinging to our status as the dominant country in this sport. It's something where we will not keep winning these gold medals forever. But Steph Curry didn't let it get away in France.
Well, think about this for a second, right? When you think about the NBA overall, right, it's a global event. Think about the guys that have been dominating the NBA. They have been Europeans. When you think about Jokic, when you think about Luka, when you think about Giannis, Joel Embiid, all those guys over the last 5 or 6 years have won the MVP, right? You think about Rudy Gobert winning the Defensive Player of the Year. It was so much pressure on this Team USA to win the gold medal. And Greeny, I mean, they needed it like old people need soft shoes. And I'm talking about a fresh pair of New Balance. That's how bad we needed it as a whole when you talk about Team USA. And for Steph to be missing the entire tournament, except those last 2 games, in that last game against France, and the way he showed up and showed out, The biggest thing, one of the biggest concerns, well, not concerns, one of the biggest things that I said coming into this Olympics is I said we have to knock down shots and have no fear when Steph is here.
And no one has ever done it in the history of the sport quite like he does. There will be plenty of days to debate his place on the all-time list, his place or this moment's place in his career, which has been epic and brilliant, but it certainly adds a layer. And again, I repeat, I think performances in the Olympics now, with no disrespect intended, mean more than they used to, because it used to be a lot easier for these American teams to win than it is now. Very quickly, let me get a take on LeBron. He's the MVP of this. He's now the first player, if I have this right, to win the gold medal in Olympic basketball in 3 different decades. He adds the MVP trophy. It's maybe the only thing he hadn't accomplished in his career. What does this mean for LeBron James?
The greatest of all time. And Greeny, I know you might not like this morning, but he got one up on MJ right now. But LeBron James, he was consistently, since the start of this tournament, the best player on Team USA. Yes, at 39 years of age, but he did it in all fashions. If you wanted him to guard every position on the defensive side of things, he did that. If you wanted him to play the point and get the team orchestrated and make sure guys got the ball when they need it, he did that. If you wanted him to take over 4 quarters throughout the course of this Olympics, he did that. Everything LeBron James did at this age was a beautiful thing to watch in the Olympics, and he's one up on Jordan right now. He's been my GOAT, but every time he gets one up on MJ, because now he has 3 gold medals, MJ has 2. I mean, this is what we watching. He's the most important player in basketball.